Hello, this is Victor. I'm here with a new Paint and Talk video, and this time I want to talk about the topic started also by Vince Vneturella, that is about troops, the use of troops in our wargames. If the troops are needed, and if we like or we don't like the troops, and what we do think, because since there was a video from Sustainable Center talking about that he will like not to see the obligation to have troops in ninth age, and yeah, and then I want to talk about that. First of all, I will say that for me the most important point and why I like a lot the last. So I've been playing as just a background Warhammer 40k since second edition, and the restrictions and the use of troops have been very different from, or have been changing from the first versions to the versions that we play today. And in Warhammer Fantasy, I've been playing also since the 90s, and I will say also this was more stable. There was a moment that there was not the percentages and was a more number of units, but at the end the percentage was the most utilized system for Warhammer Fantasy, and there was always been the obligation to have troops in all these games. But I will say that what I like a lot now from Warhammer 40k 7th edition and Age of Sigmar is the freedom. Is the freedom that you can do the army as you want. It's the freedom, is to give the freedom to the people to create the army that they like it. And I think when you start putting a lot of compulsory units and a lot of restrictions, you are killing this freedom. The freedom is coming in different ways in Warhammer 40k and in Warhammer Age of Sigmar. But I will say that one thing that I really enjoy is to have the freedom to the army. If you want to do troops, do an army of troops. If you want to do just an army of elites, that represent this army of elites. Because if you want to play fluffy, there are armies that are, for example, in the Space Marines in the past, was impossible to make an army, or was very difficult to make an army of only bikes. While you can think that there can be, for example, a detachment or army that was composed only by, because you want to simulate or you want to reproduce in your games this fast attack or this scouting detachment from the Space Marines that are using bikes and speeders, and they only want to use fast vehicles, and you only want to focus on the fast attack units. No, so in the past, no, today you can do that. There are formations, there are different ways to do it. You can go unbound, but even if you don't allow unbound, there are different ways to be able to do this type of armies. In the past this was not feasible, and what I like now is that you have the freedom to do this type of armies. You have the freedom to do more thematic armies. Of course you will need some kind of troops, but these troops can be elites. For example, if you want to reproduce the Delta Force of the US Army, why you need to have regular troopers when you want to emulate is just an ultra elite troop. If you want to, for example, simulate the first company of the Ultramarines, why you need to take regular tactical marines when you know that in the first company it's mainly veteran troops? So this is the type of freedom that I like to see, and what I like to see in Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40k. And what's missing in the previous editions, I think this freedom was not there in the previous editions. And now that we have this freedom, I think it's creating this type of armies that can be tailored as you want. On the other side, I will say that if you like the hobby aspect of the game, normally painting 200 slaves of Skaven is not a thing that you enjoy. If you have to do that by obligation, if you have to paint 100 Skavens just by obligation, because maybe what you like are the elite troops, or maybe what you like are the plain monks, and you really don't care about the clan rats or about the slaves, So it can be very painful. So know what I like of Age of Sigmar. If I want to do plain mons, I only do plain mons. I don't care about the clan rats. I don't care about the other type of rats. Uh, uh, so this is giving you all another type of freedom, and also to paint what you like to paint, and not to be obliged to paint other tubes that you don't like or you don't not enjoy, and on top you have to paint them in huge numbers. And I have to say that in the way I organize my armies, I used to have both aspects of the game. So I used to have armies that I was focusing more on the leads. Can be chaos, for example. On chaos, I like more the lead units. I was looking more the berserkers, more the cult units, I will say, the units dedicated to the gods. But for example, in my Imperial Guard, I was enjoying to do an infantry army for my regular Imperial Guard, for my loyal Imperial Guard. So in that case, I was doing a lot of troops, and I was enjoying painting a lot of troops, and I was enjoying to giving personality to the troops. So what that means is that you don't oblige doesn't mean that the people cannot do it, and doesn't mean that you will not collect. That means that I have the freedom. If I like troops, I paint troops. If I don't like troops and I like more the lead part of this army, why I have to do the troops? Why I cannot focus on the lead? Is I like more to do an armor. So today you can, for example, do in also in Aston Milton, you can, if you want, you can do an armored company. In the past was feasible, but the rules were never completely official, and most of the people were restricting that. Today, you can almost do an armored army, and it's not overpowered on top compared to other armors. So because you have the rules, you have the command on tank, and you can do that. So what I want to say is, I don't like to oblige people to do troops if they don't want to do troops. I think the best thing is to give the people the freedom to do what they like it, and each one can tailor the army as they like, and then to have the rules, the appropriate rules to compensate this. So I think this is the most important thing for me. So give the freedom to the people, to collect, to paint, and to play with what they like. Not just put the troops as obligation there, because why I have to paint troops if I don't like them? It's a pain. And then it's one of the main reasons why people have a hard time to paint these armies sometimes. So it's like in Tyranids, if you don't like to make the troops, if you don't like the troops, you prefer the monsters, why you cannot do only monsters? Today it's quite easy, but in the past was not that easy most of the times. So yeah, this was my opinion on about I would say about the troops, about this topic about if I like troops or I don't like troops. I would say I don't dislike troops. If I need, depending on the army, I like to do them, or depending on the army, I prefer more the lead units. I like to do thematic armies. I like to do armies around a topic. For example, I like to do I love my Aston Militarum because they're based on the jungle fighting infantry. I like to put some background to my armies. In my Stormcast Eternals, I think the troops that I will enjoy more to paint are still the prosecutors. I like a lot this type of guys. So if I want to play only with prosecutors, I can in Age of Sigmar. I don't have any obligation to take the liberators. On the other side, if one day I want to play only with liberators, simulating the basic troops, I like to paint them as well. So it's what I mean is, but I know that I don't have the obligation of painting them if I don't like it, and I can dedicate to paint more of the elite part of the army. And this is the freedom that I like to have. This is the freedom that I like to have when I'm collecting an army. Is the freedom to be able to collect and to paint the miniatures that I like, and not to be obliged to paint some miniatures that I dislike, and I have to paint them because they are they are compulsory in my army. So that's all what I wanted to talk about this topic. So summarizing in one word, freedom. For me, the most important thing is Give the freedom to the people to collect and to paint what they like, and use the rules to compensate that. Use the rules to compensate with numbers. That if one person is playing with an elite army, will have less numbers and most powerful units, and if one is playing with troops, will have the other way around, much more units that are less powerful, and compensate this with the rules and with the points and with the comp. But don't oblige the people to take troops if they don't like it, because at the end you want to do the army, you want to tailor the army with the units that you like to paint, you like to collect, and you enjoy playing. And I think this is the most important thing. Give the people the freedom to paint, to play, and to collect what they like. So that's all for this topic. I hope you find this interesting, maybe a little bit controversial, and maybe some people will disagree. Some people will like to see a lot of troops on the battlefield. Personally, I depend on the battle. I like battles with a lot of troops, and I like to see battles with less troops, more elite, and see more elite shock. Or I like to see also the type of battles where one guy is having a lot of garbage, one side have a lot of garbage troops and the other side have the lead, and see how one side will fight the other. So all these combinations are interesting. I think we have to give the freedom and to be able to play all these type of games, and I think we don't. I will prefer, instead of having compulsory choices, I prefer to have to give the people the freedom to collect what they like, because at the end it's just a lot of hours that we dedicate in painting these armies, and if you don't like what you are painting, at the end is not an enjoying time that you are having with these miniatures. So for now, that's all. I hope you find this interesting. Please leave your comment below. I will leave the link also to the Vince Vneturella video below, in case you want to answer to the topic of the week. I hope you find this interesting. Please like if you like it, subscribe if you don't subscribe it and you want to see more about what I paint, my games. And if you want to support me, I let you know that we have I have a Patreon account where you can support this channel, especially for the tutorials and for the battle reports. So yeah, for now that's all. As usual, thanks a lot for watching, and see you again later. Bye.